Hallo allemaal, dames en heren, jongens en meisjes, waarheidszoekers en trollen. Welkom bij RHTV. Zoals jullie allemaal weten is Icke op zijn wereldtournee. En we gaan een kijkje nemen bij het Mac, want daar spreekt hij. Dus het Mac ligt daarachter. Ja, en daar gaan we dus naartoe. Nou, hier staan we dan bij de Mac. We gaan zo naar binnen. Het is niet zo heel erg druk hier zo. Maar ja, ik ben ook iets te laat. Hè. Het begon om 10 uur en het is nu 3:30. Dus ik ben eigenlijk iets te laat. Nou, hier staan we bij auditorium 2. En Icke is nu bezig, dus we gaan even naar binnen.
The body is waveform information. It becomes apparently physical only when we observe our own bodies. And therefore, if you can play with the decoding system of the brain and the genetic system in general, and therefore we create a feedback loop that creates a very different experience. Suddenly life becomes an adventure, it becomes incredibly synchronistic. You can achieve things that you never could believe you could before. You can't be stopped because of the way you're interacting with reality, whereas if you interact in another way, then you can be stopped with what you're doing. Everything is perception. Who creates the universe that we see? We do. What kind of universe, what kind of society we create is dictated by our perceptions of everything. All that we see or seem is just a dream within a dream. The dream is the dreamer. The dreamer is the dream. Because one is a decoded expression of the other, and therefore, if you want to control the dream, control human reality, control the perceptions of the dreamer. Continue to remain in them now in the education institutions of the world. They are some of the most programmed of all with the postage stamp consensus. And they have this arrogance of ignorance, many of them, not all of them, in which they dismiss anything outside of that consensus. In our understanding of reality is that so many people whose job it is to uncover that reality are some of the most programmed on the planet. Nikola Tesla said, the day science begins to study non-physical phenomena, it will make more progress in one decade than in all the previous centuries of our existence. Because he realized that this is just a projection of non-physical phenomena. The base form of this reality and the human form, including the daughter, is waveform information. And unless Tom decodes the waveform information into a holographic state in his head, in his brain, in the visible areas of the brain, then she does not exist in his reality. We experience it in the decoded world of a holographic reality as a solid resistance, but it's actually electromagnetic resistance. Now, what is happening is more and more mainstream scientists are starting to look at this because it's the only thing that makes any sense of the realities that they can't explain. And what they did is they took that water in that state and they projected love, harmony at that water, and then they took another photograph of the same water. And that's how we can clean up the world, by cleaning up ourselves and cleaning up our perceptions. Now, the Stuttgart Institute in Germany found a way of photographing information in water. So it's television moving pictures, it's pixels that we decode. Same with LED screens in the same basic principle. And what they found at one level of the fabric of human reality is it looks like pixels. And so what I'm saying is that these codes, these numerological and geometrical codes that are found in our energetic construct of this reality, I'm saying pi and Fibonacci numbers are computer codes. Those number sequences recur and recur and recur and recur everywhere because they are computer codes. Fractal patterns are computer codes. The genetic code is a computer code as part of this simulation. You look at things like hydrogen, nitrogen, oxygen, iron on one level, they look like barcodes. And so when we look at the, what we call the heavens, we see it in one way in the holographic decoding perception, but it's an information matrix. On another level, it looks something like that. Scientists have discovered a way to destroy cancer tumours using nothing but sound waves. Oh, really? You'll be telling me the sun affects the temperature next? What? Of course it does. Because sound is frequency, which changes other frequencies, like the frequency of cancer. The crystals in the water, in terms of what was on the canister, the difference was extraordinary, as you can see now. That is a water crystal on the left that had love and thanks written on the side. That is a crystal that had I hate you, I want to kill you written on the side. A polluted river. It's rogue information. If you can see it on a waveform level, it will just be distorted waveform information. Distorting everything else. Pharmaceutical drugs. If you could see them on a waveform level, you'd see distorted waveform information, which we are introducing into the waveform field of the body. That's why they're so devastating. I love it. They say, it's got side effects. There's no such thing as side effects, mate. There's just effects. That's all there are. Effects. So, the education system, yippee! We know about the known. It's all about the known. Holding within the known. All postage stamp, yeah, no, it's all about the known, education. But not expanding awareness, so we understand. He is an incomprehensible one, but it is he who comprehends all, and nothing exists outside of him. But all exists within him, and he is boundary to them all, as he encloses them all, and they are all within him. There is no place outside of him, describing all that is, has been, and ever can be, the force that drives. But its exterior is shadow, which has been called by the name darkness. From it there appeared a force presiding over the darkness, and the forces that came into being subsequent to them called the shadow the limitless chaos. The word chaos is used again and again to describe the actions of this archontic force, which is a chaotic, distorted state of awareness. Was known as the architect. Well, the Freemasonic God is known as the great architect of the universe. And the Gnostics called the demiurge the great architect of the universe. They're describing the force that created this reality. The Old Testament God, this architect, said, let there be light, and created the world in all these 7 days, was it? Create the world? He must have been quick. But what did the Gnostics say? The Old Testament God was this demiurgic force, this fake God force. And the more I've looked at this over the years, it's become very clear to me anyway, that what's being described in the Old Testament in Genesis is the creation of the simulation. And this is Carl Sagan, very famous cosmologist. And he was so convinced of the reptilian genetic impact on human behavior that he wrote this book, The Dragons of Eden, in which he was talking about the fact that you cannot understand human behavior without understanding the reptilian genetic impact of human behavior. Because people who laugh at the reptilian thing, they don't realize that one of the foundation parts of the brain is called the reptilian brain, or the R. And there's an organization in America called the Institute of Heart Math, which focuses on researching the power of this heart vortex, this heart point of perception, this heart intelligence, innate intelligence. And they say that there is new data suggesting that the heart's field, which is the biggest electromagnetic field in the body, comes from the heart, is directly involved in intuitive perception, I just know, through its coupling to an energetic information field outside the bounds of space and time, outside. They're manipulating this information source and manipulating humans to play a part in it, to transform that original copy of original reality into a world that suits them. And therefore, the world is changing, and what is good for humans is being destroyed, and what is good for this archontic force and that which it takes form through is being introduced to replace it. Just as we rear chickens in coops, the predators rear us in human coops, humaneros. Therefore, their food is always available to them. Think for a moment and tell me how you would explain the contradictions between the intelligence of man the engineer and the stupidity of his systems of belief, or the stupidity of his contradictory behaviour. I'll explain that before this section. The more you will decode that shift. And that's the same with possession. You know these exorcist type possessions where people's faces actually change? I've seen it. It's bizarre. It's because the possessing entity's information field becomes more and more the dominant information source, and as it imposes itself upon the possessed energetic field, it's impacting more and more on the field that the observer is decoding. And what is religion? It is a tiny band of possibility which people will not step out of because it's breaking the bounds of the religion. It's a program. And look, where did religion come from? The major religions. They came out of the same place the new psyche came from in the period after the new psyche, the birthplace of religion. They came out of the Middle East and Near East, where the new psyche came out of. Monster, and this is about manipulating humans to allow artificial intelligence to take them over. Now, what is driving Silicon Valley is this, DARPA. This is the technological development arm of the Pentagon. It creates lovely things and contributions to human society like death rays, because they haven't got enough ways to kill, making people confused that weren't confused before because of this agenda that I'm coming to. And this is why it's everywhere. This is why the language is being changed. You can't say mother and father anymore. You can't say boys and girls and all this crap. And I would say to people in this transgender arena, and it's often not transgender people who are pushing this crap, it's other people that are pushing it and using them as the excuse. It's very different things. There's other perceptual programs. They're just off the peg belief systems which have been passed through the ages. What are we doing? Believing religions from so far back and rejecting so much evidence that there are other ways of looking at the world other than the religion, but we can't because the religion's got us. And there are so many religions. What to do with my life? Because I'm going to decide that. And because I know, when I say I mean all of us, because I know that my perception is interacting with the probability and possibility quantum field and creating a feedback loop, I don't have to sit there thinking, I can't do this because I haven't got the money. I can't do this because of this. I can't do this because of that. If you go into a perceptual state of knowing, not thinking, not hoping, it's a musical thing. And we're supposed to sing and dance, not worry, oh my God, what a world. What's going to happen tomorrow? Oh. We're supposed to sing and dance. And real religion is the transformation of anxiety into laughter. We do not laugh. The cause of the problem is that we are not conscious beyond mind. Most people are not conscious beyond mind. removing the problem is becoming conscious beyond mind. Becoming into a state of not pixel awareness, seeing only the pieces, but picture awareness, seeing how the pieces fit. And you can only see how the pieces fit with expanded awareness. As awareness expands, the picture becomes clearer and clearer. As it contracts, it goes into pixels and pieces, and you can't see anything except individual things that don't seem to be connected. We need to move from body-mind awareness into infinite awareness, and that comes from self-identifying with infinite awareness, and from that everything else comes. Change the world. Today I am wise, so I'm changing myself from a man in the 13th century. I woke up, letting go the onion skins of programming, of perception. I let them go. I connected with the true self. I see the world in a completely different way. My life has changed. It's become an adventure, not an ordeal. I woke up. I woke up. Shit, what happened? What happened? The world looks so different. You woke up. In the government, no lives matter. Let that sink in while you're looking to fight each other, where the strings are attached to all of you to keep you fighting, and therefore in slavery. Don't panic, unite. I am no longer accepting things that I cannot change. It's time to change things I cannot accept. And obeying laws that enslave us is slavery. That's where slavery comes from. Disobeying laws which enslave us is where freedom comes from.
Nou, dames en heren, we hebben net David Icke gezien. Het was een hele lange zit. Maar ja, we hebben het weer overleefd. Draaien.